question is, for anybody who didn't hear, how do you talk to people with kind of different beliefs about racism and feminism and broader political beliefs?
So the way I have conversations with people of opposing beliefs is I don't try to convince them of anything. So that's the first thing. Stop trying to win people over. Stop trying to enter a conversation thinking that you're gonna like aha them into changing their mind. And so I think that, you know, we've kind of lost the art of conversation. So when I enter a conversation with someone, I actually try to learn more about where they're coming from. Like, I actually use it as an experience to, like, let's say I'm talking to someone who's saying something really racist and they don't even realize that they're saying something really racist. I ask them questions because I'm interested. I'm fascinated by that. How does that work, you know? But really, and so I don't do it in a way that's like mocking, but I ask questions to kind of dig, like, you know, when someone says, oh, this isn't racist, why? But we have to learn to like really disarm ourselves in these conversations, first of all, because we approach them with so much hostility and like they get mad and we get mad and all of these things. So part of it is like emotional work. And the second part of it is intention. Like what are you trying to get out of this conversation? And if you're just trying to argue with someone, it's not gonna work. You know, you believe what you believe, they believe what they believe. So I think the thing that we have to do is try to have a good faith interaction of trying to learn more about where the other person comes from. Because often what I find is that when I do win people over, it's almost never in the conversation itself that I've won someone over. It's that I have a conversation with someone, I ask them some critical questions, and I pretty calmly explain to them, well, this is where I'm coming from, and this is why I believe what I believe. Why do you believe what you believe? And you kind of like leave the conversation, but very often that person will sit on what you said, and they will sit on the fact that you respected them and gave them space. And then very often, I've had interactions like that, and I'll run into that person again a week later, a month later, etc. And they said, you know what? You said something that I really thought about and I changed my mind. But no one ever changes their mind in the actual acute situation of a conversation. It's like afterwards when it kind of sits with them. But if you rush in, you know, fully armored up, attacking them and making them feel defensive, they will never listen to anything that you have to say. So it's really about learning how we can have a conversation again. And also there's a really important conversation about good faith and bad faith conversations. And when I sense that someone is engaging in me in bad faith, I just don't engage the conversation at all. It's not worth my time or my energy. If someone's trying to put you down or belittle you or approach a conversation as though they are more intelligent than you, because like, oh no, there's no way that someone can disagree with me and still be smart. You know, there's this like, you know, there's this very condescending tone that we have in a lot of our conversations. And I think it's important to really approach those kinds of disagreements with a lot of compassion, because when they see that, you know, people really look at not just the logic of your argument, but how you make them feel. As much as people hate to say that and admit it, it's true.
Yeah, I think that's good advice and really hard advice, because I think there's a lot of talk about kind of emotional labor. Yeah. Yeah. The idea of having to put out emotional labor is controversial, right? Because nobody should have to. But I think the reality is that if you don't approach these conversations in a certain kind of way, you don't get the results that you'd like. And I do find, I found myself in these conversations a lot when I'm traveling around doing reporting trips around the country, and was once in a car with a bunch of other not white reporters, where the Uber driver started saying some things that were like a little less than kosher. And everyone jumped in and kind of, I think, in my defense is what it was about. And I was like, we've got 44 minutes till we get to Des Moines, and I need this not to escalate. And what ended up happening was that giving the driver a little bit more space, he basically talked himself out of his own racism using the, I needed to give him enough rope.
That's right. That's right. I was just, Austin's a very special place for me because this is one of the first places where I actually organized young people. And I have this mentor, and one of the best pieces of advice that he gave me is always give someone the golden gate of retreat, which is give someone enough rope, give someone enough compassion, enough opportunity in a conversation for them to look good changing their mind.
Yeah.
And it's a really important thing to be able to do, because if you're just like, oh, you said this thing, like, you're racist, and when now you're forcing that person to say, no, I'm not, like, etc., there's no golden gate of retreat there. Yeah. The only retreat there is to just barrel right through the opposing